In today's video, we're going to take a look at a really classic German knife design that's been in production for over 150 years. Talking about the Mercator Black Cat K55K, and in today's video, we're going to see just how well a 150-year-old knife design can do some of that knife stuff. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for trustworthy information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me for another Sharp Saturday video where it's Saturday and we take a look at something sharp. Today, that something sharp, as I said, is this really cool classic old German knife. And full disclosure, this knife was sent to me by a viewer probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And I stuck it in a box and was going to do a review on it, and I just completely misplaced it. I was doing some reorganizing the other night, and I found it. So I thought, you know, this is pretty cool. I need to show this to you. So that's what we're going to do. So without any further rambling, let's get down to the old stump top. We'll talk about the specs of this thing, and then we'll get to doing some of that knife stuff. Okay, here is the K55 Mercator Black Cat knife. It's called that because it's got a little black cat embossed on the blade. Again, this is about a 150-year-old design from Germany. And you can see it says right here on it, Germany, Solingen. So talk a little bit about this knife. It also says Mercator on back, Germany there. It is a carbon steel blade. They call it C75 steel. It's also available in stainless. It has a steel powder coated black handle, which is basically, it's just a folded handle, folds around. It's got a little spacer here on the end of it. It's a back lock, and the spring there in the back lock, you can almost see it in there, is carbon steel, C45. It's got a little lanyard loop on here, 3 little pins in it, very thin, as you can see. I mean, very thin. The overall length of the knife is 200 millimeters, or for those of us with a flag on the moon, that's 7 7/8 inches long. The blade length is 90 millimeters, or 3.5 inches. The handle length is 110 millimeters, or 4 3/8 inches. The blade shape they're calling medium pointed. I would say it's just a, you know, kind of a traditional blade shape. It has a back lock, and the weight on this thing is 75 grams or 2.64 ounces. Now these things are also available if you can find them with a pocket clip, if you like that. The street price on these things is between 30 and 40 bucks for new ones, and then I think there's some collectability of some of the older ones. They go up to as much as a couple $100, but you got to watch out for that stuff because there's so many new ones out there, and it's so easy to replicate these. Unless you really know what you're doing, somebody could buy a new one and you know, kind of bang it up and make it look old. So anyway, that's the specs of this thing. So first, I thought since this is an international brand, we would do these international standard sharpness tests, the redneck sharp test. So we're gonna do that first. Get the old testing medium here. Can you see that? Are we in focus here? Let's see if we can get in the frame. Let's see how well it does that. So it's okay. It's pretty good bit of higher there. You can see. So got to give it a plus on that one. By the way, on Wikipedia it says this was like the weapon of choice of gangs in the 50s and 60s South Bronx. So I don't know about that, but let's try the paper cutting test because that's the other standard everybody seems to want to see. So let's just see how well it does that. Okay. Yep, it cut some of that paper pretty daggum good. Look, would you look at that? That's not bad for a literally $30 to $35 knife. Okay, so there's that. But since this thing is so inexpensive and it seems like so robust, and this was a favorite knife of the troops of Kaiser Wilhelm in World War I, although it wasn't like an official German knife, you know, issued knife. It's got a really stout back lock on it. You got to push that thing down, and you can see it. And when you do, man, it snaps in like tight. That spring is really good, and it locks. It's super good lockup. Again, very thin. Just for a knife you can carry in your pocket, this thing is so thin. It really doesn't take up any room. It's pretty neat. And then, because it's so robust, I thought we'd try a couple things. A, it feels like it's got kind of a sharp spine. I like that. And I'm going to go a little outside the box. This is a folding knife. I do not usually do this with folding knives, but I'm going to baton with this, specifically because I had a comment the other day that said batoning with knives is stupid or dumb or something like that. And I responded, who says it? And the person responded back, says, I say it, and told me a lot of reasons why they've never had to baton a knife in their life. So it's stupid. Knives aren't made for that. And I've never had to either, but I've lived in Georgia all my life, and I've always had plenty of fire stuff around, small stuff. That's not the case everywhere. So my point is, don't base what you think is needed on just where you live or what your experience is, because there's people with other experiences that might have other valid opinions. So anyway, because of that, I'm going to baton this, and I do not recommend baton with this. I don't recommend doing that with the folding knife, to be honest with you, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to take it nice and easy. Nothing major, but it's been raining out here a little bit, so I want to get down to the inside here where I can maybe make some fire. So I'm going to trim that off, then I'm going to cut this down so I can get me some corners there, because so this is the dry part. Then if I tip it down one more time, nice and easy. We're not going crazy. We're not trying to build a log cabin here. So many people seem to have this mistaken understanding that that's what it's all about. So now we're going to see how well this thing carves some of them there feathers. Look, it's got a great edge. So I'm sure it'll do fine. It did great on the redneck sharp test and on the everything else. Look at those little curls coming off there, man. This thing has got a full flat grind from the spine all the way down to a slight secondary edge. I mean, Solingen is a world famous blade city, right? A steel city for sure. So it's this thing's doing great. Let me carve a few more feathers off here, and then we'll see if we can try a couple of more things. Okay, so nice little pile of curls here. What I thought I'd do now is, because you know me, right? I'm gonna close this thing up. Man, the mosquitoes are wearing me out. To make sure that I don't have to worry about the spring, and we'll see how well the spine does some scraping. I think it'll do fine. You know, a piece of fat wood out of storage here. Let's see what happens. Actually, not as good as I thought it was. It seemed like it was sharper than that. There we go, we're getting a little bit now. Let's try that, okay. Got a little bit down there. It's not as sharp as I thought it was. But it's working. All right, so there we go. We got a little fat wood in there. Now, you know what's next, right? Not much fat wood there, though. But I'm going to get my second favorite ferro rod. My Exotac Fire Rod XL. Had somebody ask me what my first favorite ferro rod was after another video last week. I'll give you a hint. It's got a little plastic canister of butane connected to it. So let's see if this thing will strike some sparks here from the old second favorite. She ain't striking too good. Okay, well, so if you get right up next to the handle here, which I couldn't really get when it was closed really well because of the, I guess I could have, I just didn't see it, but it's sharp enough right there with some leverage to get it going. So that's a pass all the way around. Okay, well, that was hopefully a reasonably coherent look at this Mercator K55 Black Cat German folding knife. Again, over 150-year-old design. And I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with it because it's always neat to find an old traditional classic design that has stood the test of time, that is actually functional. In other words, it's not just cool because it's old, but it's cool because you can actually use it and it's functional. So I think that's pretty cool, and I hope you've enjoyed this. I really appreciate you watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.